Welcome home to Eden. We're gaining lightness. So today we can really understand the full meaning of this COVID virus because Mother Earth is speaking to us loud and clear. What she's saying is, get with me and grieve. She's in mourning. She's in deep mourning for all of her creatures that she's lost, all of her polluted waters, all of us that may be gone too, all of her children. But the thing about humans is that we actually do like to stay positive, and we will avoid negative information like we did 30 years ago when we knew climate change had come. So we didn't want to deal with it, so we stayed in our happy little fantasy. Now, I believe in the happy fantasy. I know that that's how we create the world and our future. I'm like one of the most positive people you'll ever meet, and annoyingly so. But I can hear that Mother Earth is talking to me, and she's saying, cut it out. Stop being so positive. She's like, get with me and grieve. Now, grieving, it can be paralyzing, right? So we avoid it. And in this culture, we don't even have grieving in our own funerals. We're so anti-grief, we take drugs not to feel. But there are cultures all over the world that have real grieving rituals for their funerals. And even the Baptist Church of the African American community, you can cry and you can be sung back to and reaffirmed in your tears by a group that is feeling grief with you. There's sitting Shiva of the Jewish tradition, where people sit for 3 to 5 days with their family. Doesn't that make sense, to really feel grief, right? But the thing is, because we are so disconnected from grieving, and we've been all in our positive mode about how much more we can create and get in our happy little world, at this point in time, we humans are not going to make it unless we wake up and face the grief and face the loss. Because the thing about grief is that the flip side of grieving is value. It's what you value is why you're grieving, because you're losing something you love, right? So as soon as you get in touch with value, wow, what I care about, like if I make it through this pandemic, what will I do with my life? Like you suddenly care, like we've all been woken up that we could lose everything. Get with me and grieve, she says. Her tears, her salty tears rising up. You know, the waters of the earth are rising as the ice caps are melting because of global heating. You know, her tears can be felt in the torrential rains pouring down as floods, and her dry, cracked skin where it's just scorched and there's no more tears left. She's cried so much. You know, get with me and grieve. All right. So that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking all of you to get with me and grieve. That's what Mother Earth wants us to do. Now, it's not such a terrible thing. Okay. You're like, I don't know how to do that, Eve. I know. I hardly know either. I'm from a culture that's, disconnected from facing truth, because you if you're willing to face truth, you also have to be able to handle grieving. But we have, we all voted for a pathological liar. Baby Dump pleased our fantasy realm of wanting to just believe anything he says, even that he is helping with the COVID virus, because we want so much to believe in our fantasies that we would rather have Baby Dump Liar as our leader than anybody who makes us grieve and face the truth of what we've got to do, what we've really lost for the future of our planet, for the future of our children, in terms of the species that are already gone, the beautiful coral reefs gone, So now the thing is, all right, so you also look at the other aspects of this virus and how it's come along in this really interesting way, where we were already a really lonely culture. We were already sitting at home alone with no one to talk to, and our friends had already stopped calling, and then they were just texting for the last couple of years. All I get are texts. I don't even see faces anymore. We were already living in vicariously through the media. So this illness comes along, and it gives us everything we wanted. We get to now stay home, never see faces. They're all covered, not have to talk to anybody, no touch. It was already an anti-socially touch culture where if I would touch anybody or reach out, they'd be like, "Oh, are you touchy-feely? Are you groping me? Are you needy?" like, okay. So Mother Earth gives us something that shows us our bowl. She's like, here you go. You want a life like that? Have it. Everybody cover their face. You don't have to see faces. I was already walking down the street and noticing no one would look in my eyes or say hi or smile. They're all looking at their phones or just avoiding eye contact, because they're being appropriately have boundaries. Like, so here we are stuck at home in our isolation. I sure have been in quarantine for quite a while now, and we start to long to see faces, and then we start to use Skype instead of texting, right? We start to dream of seeing our friends and having them over instead of only, making as if that's not the most important thing. Suddenly, when we're home alone, living vicariously because it's our only option, we start to want real adventures. We start to want to actually have a life where love is at the center, where relationships are at the center. We see that nothing is meaningful and nothing is fun if you have no one to share it with, right? But somehow we were living in this long illusion that our narcissism was plenty fulfilling, right? Get with me and grieve, okay? Let's grieve the kind of humans we've been and become, and let's, in the grieving, we get in touch with this value of each other and this value of connection and this value of the earth. And then, because we're in touch with the value, that's where action comes from, because anyone who values their beloved, their family, their treasure, their jewels, they protect it, right? They take care of it. They water that plant. Beautiful. Okay. So that's all it is. It's like, but it's a big deal because the lungs, if you start to understand the spiritual, that every illness has a spiritual dimension, and that is the actual causative factor, right? So we tend to think, oh no, it's just a virus, it's in the air, you don't touch things, and that's true. That's the physical dimension. But the physical dimension comes into being through the spiritual dimension that created in the first place. So Chinese five-element medicine would say that this COVID virus, it endangers people's lives through the lungs, right? The lungs are connected with grief. Get with me and grieve, okay? And if you don't grieve, the thing is, it's interesting in this situation, usually you would always say, be positive, think positive, that'll help you live. But in this case, it's actually grieving that will help this illness be lighter on your lungs. Because it's the lack of grieving that creates hardened lungs, right? A hardened heart, a hardened lungs. There's unwillingness to feel the pain of the situation that we are in as a world community. So as soon as you start doing your spiritual work for the causative level of this illness, now you're making it lighter on your body. Now your body can do less work. As soon as you get the message, oh, we have been anti-socially autistic on the level of disconnect, and Mother Earth wants to show us that she made humans to love each other. She made humans to enjoy each other, right? So we get in touch with value. If I make it through this pandemic, what do I value? What will I live to do? Maybe you will plant trees. Maybe you will devote yourself to a cause related to climate change. Or maybe you'll just decide to really taste your food instead of just chugging it. All those animals dying every moment, all the, and we don't even taste our food, right? So we was like, I promise I will eat a lot of really good food and I'll really taste it. That would be a huge change right there. Because if you taste your food, I noticed that while I was having all this pain from the virus, like blocks, like all over my body, just tortured pain. um, I noticed, well, what about the cows that are being tortured to give me this milk that I had today? Is this how they feel? Are they in that kind of pain all day? What about Mother Earth being trashed with all of this coal poison from the fossil fuel industry, just dumping all of this? She hurt? Does her body hurt like my body hurts when I have this virus? It's the message, right? The message is get with me and grieve. Feel this pain. And if we feel it, then our body won't have to embody the truth of our world pandemic, our world situation. Okay, love, that's what I wanted to say. I hope that you will get with me and grieve, and that that's okay, that we find a way to do that by pivoting towards value. Now, if you get with me and grieve and you just wallow and you just get heartbroken and you get paralyzed, that won't help you. Right? So you want to do that thing where you allow it to come through you like a wave, like you go into the grief and you feel it fully enough to know, oh, okay, I need to align my life with this and that, and I need to make these changes, and I need to really wake up to seeing faces and calling people and visiting people and looking in people's eyes and become a human that I was meant to be. You've pivoted. You've done it. You've felt the grief and you became aligned with what you value. Okay. Much love, darling. Love life. Here we are. Here's our chance still. We're still here. We're still here.